Welcome to video discussion, whatever, number 3 at the end of the 300 movie challenge. We have talked about our favorite movies, our least favorite movies, and so I took all three of our ranking lists, I averaged them all together, and then from that, I found an average ranking for each year. And what I did also is that because, of course, we've had these 13 bonus movies, right? And so I included those movies based on the year they were released, but I weighted them less than the actual movies that won.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So this is so that's kind of how this works. Now, of course, we didn't see every movie in the year, so just because a year is at the bottom of our list, that doesn't mean we think that every single movie released that year sucks, because obviously we didn't see all of them. But so when
Forever.
yeah, so just in terms of talking about we say, oh, this year is bad, we're of course talking about it's bad for us.
The highest grossing
Yeah.
films.
So
That too, in our opinion.
yeah, so but I think this would be interesting, and also these two have not seen the list yet, so they might be kind of surprised.
Reactionary video
Yeah.
alert. Yay.
Yay.
So I guess we'll start with actually number 26, because we split the first year and the last year.
Oh, yeah.
So our number 26th, our worst year, it's actually not what I thought it was.
Oh,
Oh.
really? It's not 2003?
It's 1997.
Really?
What?
I thought we liked that year.
Nope.
What happened?
Well,
Oh, wait, yeah, we didn't like that year.
nope. So
What's in here?
1997 had a couple decent movies.
Oh, I see Men in Black.
Men in Black was,
Yeah.
pretty good. Titanic, enjoyable. LA Confidential, enjoyable. And then it has a lot of not good movies. like-
Oh, the Saint is there.
Yeah, The Saint, Full Monty, Lost World, Devil's Advocate, Bean, and then two movies that we really don't like at all, Liar Liar and My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh.
I think the main thing is that there is nothing in this year that is, really good. Right.
Right.
Even Men in Black, which we have as the best ranked, on average the best ranked of the year. None of us ranked it super well, right?
Right.
I think the best. I think maybe Tara. I think you rated it best, and it was 50-ish or something. I think.
Something like that,
Yeah.
maybe?
So. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm just looking at this in terms of an overall opinion, and nothing was just even the stuff that was good was not super interesting, I guess. I don't know. There was no.
Eh.
I don't know.
It's interesting because there's Titanic, and you would think that would elevate it, but you can't really depend on one movie too.
Yeah, and even again, Titanic, for a lot of good stuff it did, it's not to say that it was a fantastic movie either, because of the
Yeah.
two main characters. So
Yeah.
even the stuff that was good, it kind of held it back. And I remember LA Confidential was decent, but it didn't particularly stand out as being great.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of it was just not very good. So,
Well, that's
Interesting.
interesting.
yeah.
We start with a surprise.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to think, is there any sort of, overall theme for the year, but I can't really place one. I don't know. Honestly, okay, I do remember, a lot of these movies, actually, they feel older, if that makes
They
any
feel
sense.
older. I remember, well, there's the famous quote from the Saint discussion.
Yeah. Well, so there was that,
Yeah.
but then even then, I don't know, I remember, feeling Bean and Devil's Advocate, they felt like older movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
80s movies or something, and kind of Full Monty could kind of fall under that as well, and maybe My Best was. I don't know. It just felt kind of weird. This is so.
They
yeah.
were misplaced in time.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a very underwhelming year, and a lot of stuff that we didn't like, and pretty much nothing that was really great. So, 1997 was our worst year.
Hmm.
So that was number 26. Now number 25 is 2003.
Oh, well,
Well,
there's not really much to talk about then.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
2000. You probably know how much we dislike 2003. Considering 3 of the movies were on all of our worst lists, I believe.
yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, it the thing is that the only reason I think that it is higher overall than 1997 is because it did have like some legitimately like really solid movies with The Lord of the Rings and Finding Nemo, and Pirates of the Caribbean is decent too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, again, the fact that on average, Once Upon a Time in Mexico was the 4th best of the year.
Yeah,
like-
that's kind of an issue.
That's sad. And Scary Movie 3 is the 5th best. Like, wow, that's really sad.
That's tragic.
Yeah, and in terms of, again, ignoring the bonus for Matrix Reloaded, the fact that Daredevil is in the top half. Yeah, so this was just... Again, we shat on this year a lot for a good reason. So the biggest surprise that it's not bottom, but I guess it kind of makes sense that like Lord of the Rings and Finding Nemo just brought it out of the bottom, but
Yeah.
Again, I can't really think of any sort of theming of this either. I guess there's a fair amount of stuff that's like more like comedic oriented, but that doesn't mean it was like good.
Like a specific comedy angle that just...
Well, it's some sort of like, what's the word? The quote unquote like edgy, but it's edgy in different ways, right? There's like the edgy, like edgy of Daredevil, right? But then you have like the, you know, ooh, it's edgy because it's like sexual with like Charlie's Angels and like, you know, American
That
Wedding.
movie.
Yeah, and then you have just the fucking terrible like racism of bringing down the house and, you know, and just, and then the whole comedy of, oh, look at these dumb people doing dumb things, which is basically anger management and just married, so, yeah. And then we had the Matrix sequels, which existed.
No, they didn't.
No, moving on.
Yeah, so, again, pretty terrible here, with just, like, a few shining beacons of hope. Okay, anyway. So, our number 24 year is 1996.
Oh yeah. I
Remember how we
that.
said the 90s weren't very good?
It's weird because I don't remember this collection of movies being in the same year.
Yeah, because
Like, I didn't realize that Twister was in the same year as, like, 101 Dalmatians, or, like, The Rock and Broken Arrow were actually, like, kind of back-to-back, I think.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, well, I remember Broken Arrow, I think, was February. Yeah, Broken Arrow was February, and The Rock was June.
Oh,
But-
okay.
Yeah.
Basically, Bed of Roses and Tin Cup, really.
Yeah. I mean, okay, the other stuff is not, like, okay, the only thing I would say is, like, legitimately, like, really solid was 101 Dalmatians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the fact that, like, Independence Day is on average our second best, it's like, I know you guys liked it more than me, but it's still not that good, right? It's just kind
It's
of
not
like,
good,
yeah, it's so...
but it's tolerable. It's fine.
Yeah, and then it's kind of same with Jerry Maguire, and Primal Fear is just kind of mixed, like, all over the place. Some good stuff, some bad stuff, and...
Really, the ending is, like, the solid point for it.
Well, I think, like, Aaron's character as a whole is, like, really solid, but, yeah, the pacing and the other stuff is just... And then, honestly, Broken Arrow and The Rock are, like, pretty damn similar movies anyway, and we have them pretty much right next to each other in terms of our average views, and then... Birdcage was also another, like, very split movie.
Yeah.
And then Sleepers just put us to sleep, huh?
Eh.
And then we had, just bad stuff. First Wives Club, Twister, Bed of Roses, Tin Cup. Yeah, so I think it's just probably because there are some more things on here that are just like okay, right? So that's why it's probably raises it up above the other stuff, but it's the only thing I would like legitimately want to see again would be like 101 Dalmatians. So
Yeah.
Puppies.
yeah, that's
I
kind of.
saw it recently, too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, again, with my mom.
Puppies.
And Sora and Kobe did nothing during the Twilight Bark scene. I was like expecting them to do something, but they were just asleep.
Yeah, see, well, that's the problem. The whole thing where they're all like trying to, you know, make noise for the dogs. Just like, what if like just like one dog was asleep and just ruined the chain? Good job, Sora. You blew it. Okay. Well, so there's another pretty mediocre, not very good year. Alright, so now we're on to number 23, which was 2006.
Well, 10 years later.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, wait, what came out this year?
I remember when we talked about this, we said that 2006, the problem was it wasn't like, there weren't a ton of like terrible movies. Like there were a few that were like really bad, but the main problem was just like the average quality was just really meh.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, and like again, we all thought like Dead Man's Chest, I think we all kind of agreed was like the best of the year. But even then, like we all kind of agree, it's not like really good, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the fact that the other stuff, like the other decent stuff, like Night at the Museum and Casino Royale and like The Departed, again, it's decent, right? It's kind of a similar situation as actually with the last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you get a lot of stuff like Open Season. Whoa.
I forgot that was a movie we watched.
Yeah, again, stuff like that that's just so underwhelming and like I don't care. But yeah, we only have like two things that I would say we like really disliked, being Talladega Nights and Pink Panther. But yeah, again, in terms of like movies that we want to see again, I mean, I guess, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean, I could see that again. Maybe, okay, if someone like put on like, you know, I don't know, Casino Royale, would I like turn it off? Not necessarily, but I wouldn't like seek it out, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I remember this.
It was on an airplane or something.
Yeah, I mean, I probably just wouldn't pay attention, but whatever. So yeah, it's just another kind of year that didn't really have anything standing out. So okay, I guess that's it to talk about that, really.
Very underwhelming.
Yeah, it's a really underwhelming year, so there's not too much to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that was number 24, then or no, that was number 23. Our number 22nd best year was 1994.
Oh.
Oh,
So
okay, I can see that.
yeah, again,
It's because of the last two.
well, yeah. I mean, again, this is the first two movies are really good, right?
Yeah.
We all agree with that. But then you have three movies that are, they're for different reasons, right? Again, we think Pulp Fiction is just kind of Clear and Presentation was boring, and then Time Cop was
Bad.
yeah. Kind of hilariously bad, but definitely bad.
Yeah.
And then we have Interview with the Vampire and Dumb and Dumber, which did not make us happy.
No.
And I think
very different reasons.
yeah, and I think also for this is that since there's only 7 movies that we saw for this year, that like if one movie is really bad, it like affects the average more.
Oh, that makes
That's
sense.
true.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I think this kind of got like maybe lower than it might have otherwise. But then again, if I remember, I know I looked like what did win like the previous months of 1994. I looked at it once. But the only thing I
Flintstones.
yeah, that was the only thing I remember was May 1994. I think was I think it was the sequel actually of the live action Flintstones thing, which is bad. So like again, I don't think that if we saw the full year it would like be a lot better. I don't think it necessarily would. So yeah, again, we started really well, but then we didn't. So and again, the fact that we've already knocked out 3 of the 90s years in our first 5 points to these not being very good.
Of great quality.
Yeah. Again, this point, I said this at one point, but those people who are like, oh man, stuff now is not that good, you know, we need to get back to how it was in the 90s when stuff was good. Just no.
Please don't nag any more Interview with the Vampires.
Yeah.
Please.
Just, I guess the thing is that the 90s, yes, they don't have like any cinematic universes and they don't have like themes. Well, and stuff like superhero themes and everything, but they had other themes like disaster movies was a theme that was very prevalent in the 90s.
Or like random crime noir things that are basically carbon copies of themselves, but just pressed into different kinds of gems.
Yeah, and then also there's a lot of like dumb comedy kind of things too.
Yeah.
So I don't think even the 90s had its own themes and things, just like westerns had its era, talkies had its era.
The silent movie had its era. I wish Dumb and Dumber was a silent movie.
It still wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't.
But it would be slightly better, yeah. there's also again in the '90s, and I'd say also into the early 2000s, there was a lot of like rom-coms too, or at least romance. Maybe not comedy, but definitely romance stuff. That
Bed of Roses is a rom-com.
Stop bothering me about that. God, you'll never let that go.
Never forget that.
You're whatever. But yeah, just not great. Okay, so let's see. We're at 20. That was 22. So now our number 21 is 1998, another 90s year.
Yay!
Oh, we have Mulan.
Yeah, again, we had Mulan, which is good, but then, okay, we had some stuff that's like decent. Again, kind of similar to like 96.
They had some good ones like Mulan, Life is Beautiful, Rush Hour, and then Wedding Singer we thought was going to not be as good as we actually... I mean, it was decent, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I still remember that scene of Adam Sandler singing.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite scene.
I think that's the best scene of that whole movie.
Yeah. And then like Bug's Life is like fine, you know.
I always forget that exists.
Yeah, it's really like not that. Again, it's not a bad movie, but it's just there's kind of no reason to watch it. So yeah. And then you had a lot of stuff that's like kind of all over the place. Yeah, weird for very different reasons. But you get Man in the Iron Mask was just kind of a thing. Again, that was like the most like forgettable probably.
I think for the fact that we aren't very familiar with the Three Musketeers, it probably didn't help.
I guess, but still.
I mean, I feel like even if we were familiar with it, it seemed to like
it was such
like the pacing and the visuals and everything too.
It was very
and you had Leonardo DiCaprio as like the king, who was like looked like a baby, so young looking. But and then of course, speaking of awkward, we have City of Angels.
Oh boy.
Favorite movie.
It's an experience. But yeah, and then we had some more disaster movies with Godzilla and Armageddon, which I'm still.
And then we had Fuckface and Love.
Yeah, and then that thing, which I don't want to discuss.
No.
So,
moving on.
Yeah, again, this is another pretty just underwhelming year with really only Mulan as like the legitimately like really solid movie. And with, again, Life is Beautiful, Rush Hour are like pretty good, but you know. Okay, so it's number 21. Okay, so now we're top 20. Wow, we're really getting to the really good years.
Stuff.
Not really. Okay. Anyway, year number 20 for us was 2009.
Oh, 11 years later.
Yeah. This one, again, is a much more of a split because you have, again, like, well, it has Up, which is like, you know, we really, really loved Up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, there's Harry Potter Half-Blood Prince, which we liked a lot. Avatar, which we liked a decent amount. And we get kind of stuff that's just, like, kind of, like, mixed with, like the Michael Jackson's thing, which is, like, you know, it's kind of hard to even judge that, but, you know.
Yeah, it's really hard to judge something like that.
Yeah. 2012, again, I have a soft spot for it, but even I admit that it's not, like, really good or anything, but it's, like, okay, it's okay. Inglourious Basterds just feels like, you know...
It's a Quentin Tarantino movie.
So, you know...
He's not our cup of tea, but if you like Quentin Tarantino, you probably like this.
Yeah, but...
I think another thing is that our ranking for the movie, I think the scene that ultimately probably brought down all our rankings of it a little bit is probably that ending.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because up until that point, it's kind of like, okay. And then you get to that, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Uncomf.
Yeah, so, and again, because we have here, with Inglourious Basterds, that marks like the halfway point in terms of the year, right? So then the rest of the year is just not very good, right?
No.
Like Taken, woohoo. I know people apparently like it, but we didn't, so there you go. I mean, again, we don't hate it, but like, whatever. And then we have Transformers 2, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and Monsters vs. Aliens, and that first Fast and Furious movie that we saw, which we really didn't like, and the fucking mess that is He's Just Not That Into You. So it's like, again, we have a lot of stuff that's just really not that good, and then it is offset and is brought up somewhat by some legitimately really good stuff, but it just is not enough to really bring it up, like, you know,
that much.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So now up to year number 19. We're at 2005.
Oh, I see why.
2005, I feel, is more mixed. Like, where basically most things were just kind of fine.
Yeah.
So, again, like, okay, well, Wallace and Gromit, I have my own baggage, but you both liked it quite a lot. And again, like, first Narnia movie is, like, pretty good. Again, like, Revenge of the Sith is not, like, great, but it's decent.
It's not the
okay.
worst.
Yeah.
Goblet of Fire is just kind of messy. Again, it's not, like, terrible, but it's just,
Confused.
Yeah, and then also kind of similarly, Flight Plan was also kind of messy in terms of how it handled the whole twist and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have stuff like Hide and Seek, Interpreter, Hitch, a lot of kind of stuff in the middle, and then you have the nutty stuff at the end with fucking robots and the
Charlie and the Chocolate
Oh,
Factory.
God.
and then that 40-year-old virgin thing, which again I've heard people apparently like that too, but whatever. So yeah, you just get a lot of stuff that's just like, okay, these are things that we kind of okay. I kind of want to see robots again, just to like see how nuts it is, and because part of me is like, is it really as bad as I thought it was? Is it really as nutty as I thought it was, or is this in my head? And
Maybe you should watch it, Julie.
I think she might kill me. She'd be like, "What the fuck did you just show me?" But yeah, again, there's nothing here that's like horrible, right? But there's nothing that's like really that great, and like there's a lot of stuff that's just kind of mediocre, so kind of ends up in this position. Okay, that's number 19. So year number 18 for us was 2015.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I remember.
that's because of that.
Well, several things. I remember specifically when we were going over this that I said that, like, I said pretty handily, I was like, I think this is the worst of the 2010s. And it is, in terms of our ranking, so...
Well, there it is.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of similar to the last movie, last year. Like, okay, like, The Martian is really solid.
Yeah.
We never talked about it in terms of our, like, top 15 best movies, but it was really close to that for all of us, so...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really solid movie, like, good performances and atmosphere and emotion and all that stuff. But after that, again, you have a list of movies that are like, pretty good. Like Age of Ultron, Force Awakens, Straight Outta Compton. And then you get stuff like, the Maze Runner Scorch Trials was just kind of Spectre kind of Hotel Transylvania, the sequel's like So there's a lot of stuff. And then you get to stuff at the end, which, yeah, we
But Katniss Everdeen.
that. You also get Jurassic World, which fuck everyone involved with that.
Taken 3 with its 3 cuts all spliced together.
Yeah, and the
Popcorn kernels.
and death.
Yeah.
So
That.
so again, this I guess is kind of more split, but even then, the fact that it's split, like. Overall, there's more meh and bad stuff than good stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like this makes sense for being the worst of the 2010s.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now, year number 17, 2011.
I see.
So, this one... I think this one's kind of similar... Okay, I feel like this year is kind of similar to the... maybe like some of the late 90s, but just not as bad. Because again, we have like a several amount of legitimately good stuff with like, the Captain America, the Planet of the Apes, I remember, Deathly Hallows Part 2, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, like all that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you have a string of just kind of and like not good stuff at the end that brings it down. Again, like Puss in Boots is like, On Stranger Tides is a thing. There was a mermaid, that's like all I remember.
Yeah.
Didn't she like randomly get legs for like no reason at one point?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, wouldn't that have helped
Yeah.
earlier?
So they didn't have to carry her in a glass case.
Yeah. So again, stuff like that, like Rio was existed, and yeah, stuff like Fast 5, which definitely wasn't as bad as the previous one, but it wasn't like good.
The Green Hornet, I'm still kind of salty about because it's a very interesting premise, but they just fucked it up.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is with these movies is that you can understand why it's here. Like, it's not lower, but it's also not higher.
Right, again, like,
Yeah.
for example, we have the worst for us being Just Go With It, which is pretty damn bad. It's not truly bottom tier, though. And then
Yeah.
after that, again, like, Transformers 3, who gives a shit, right? You know, kind of, and then, yeah, like, Twilight, I mean...
I mean, I got enjoyment out of you guys watching.
Yeah, no, again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's not like so bad it's good, but it's so bad it's...
That you're baffled.
Well, I don't know, it's just, it's... I can't put it any lower for what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's definitely not, it's a bit more split, maybe, again, I think it makes sense it's higher than 2015,
Yeah.
because there aren't, say, more good things, but there are probably close to equal number of bad things. But okay, 2015 just, you know, has the really, really terrible things, but still. Still. Okay. Next up, year number 16 is 2000.
Oh, I see why.
2000 is very much in the middle of the road, I feel. Like, again,
it's understandable why.
Yeah, again, like, we do have good stuff, and we do have bad stuff, but even then it's... Again, like, as an average thing, it makes sense, like, oh, yeah, it makes sense that on average this just feels kind of okay.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, I remember we talked about, like, Remember the Titans was, like, much better than we thought it would be. So that was, like, legitimately good. And then, like, Fantasia 2000, Castaway, X-Men, like, those are all good movies. And then you have, like, you know, U571 and The Perfect Storm and Mission Impossible 2, and you're just like, literally, what is any of this?
Yeah.
And then you have the two horror movies, Hollow Man and The Grinch,
Oh, God.
to round
then,
it all off.
I guess another surprise was Erin Brockovich, which has an actress that we all dislike, but she was actually suited for the role.
Yeah. And even then, it's not like a great movie, but it's better than we thought, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it makes sense. This is kind of like, okay, this was a year that I didn't hate overall. I mean, I guess you could say I really didn't like parts of it, but yeah. Shrug. It's kind of my action
It was a
reaction.
thing.
Yeah, it was a thing. Okay, well, year number 15, 2013.
Oh. This is an interesting collection.
Yeah, very interesting collection.
Yeah, again, I feel like this is kind of similar to, like, 2011 or 2015, where there's definitely some good stuff. Again, Gravity is really good. But then again, after that, there's just stuff that's, like, good but not great. Right, with, like, Iron Man 3 and, like, Monsters University and stuff like that. And then you get into the mixed stuff with, like, Elysium and, like, the second Hobbit movie. And then you get Frozen. Frozen, yay. And then you get the dumb shit, like Hansel and Gretel. We got Despicable Me 2. A Good Day to Die Hard. And the...
Cloudy
the Kiss of People. Yeah, so it's like, again, there's just a lot of... Again, okay, I would say... If you were to compare, like, the worst movies of the year, like, Cloudy with the Chance of Peoples 2 is not that bad, right?
Yeah.
But it's just, there's a lot of other stuff that's, like, kind of similar, just not good quality. So, it brings down the fact that, like, you know, Gravity is so good, and, like, Iron Man 3 and Monsters U are, like, pretty good, you know. But it makes sense, again, this is not, like, a terrible year. One random side note, I just want to point out that, like, the poster for Frozen is, like, really bad. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, it looks just really... Like, their faces just look weird. They don't look like they're like, literally like they were pasted into the snow.
I didn't realize that.
It looks so
there was
weird.
A different poster for this
I know,
movie.
I feel like there must have been some other poster. This is the one on Wikipedia, so yeah, it looks so awful. I'm like, their heads just... Ugh, it does not fit. I feel like the lighting is, like, different on their faces, too. right?
When Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 has a better
No,
poster.
but seriously, like, look at like, the side. Elsa looks like she's being lit from like the right, but then like
Yeah.
Anna looks like she's
Yeah.
lit like straight on, and it's like it's just.
I think they ripped the like character profiles and they just stuck the heads into the snow.
I know, but
they...
it's so awkward. I'm like, who designed this? It looks so bad. So anyway, just wanted to mention that because it's really bad. But anyway, okay. I guess now up to number 14. We're closing in on the halfway point.
Like, is it 2014?
No, number 14 favorite year is 2004.
Huh.
I actually thought it would be lower because of one of the movies on the list.
Oh, yeah, your favorite movie of all time?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, like,
Yeah,
there.
okay, what happened?
Well, again, there's like legitimately really good stuff with like The Incredibles and Man on Fire, and I think that was Prisoner of Azkaban. Was pretty good,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Shark 2.
Shrek 2 is pretty good. I think that Spider-Man 2 is also like not terrible. And then there's just kind of some mixed stuff with like iRobot and the Bourne Supremacy, and then you get to stuff like Passion of the Christ, which is a fun, enjoyable watch. Bring the kids. And then
I still don't understand what the audience was supposed to be for that movie.
I don't know. Apparently it's something like it was like the highest grossing like R-rated film until like I think it came out or something. So like a lot of
really?
people saw it, but I don't get it either.
I don't think anyone I know has ever talked about it though.
Yeah, just shrug. But yeah, of course we do have like bad stuff like your not pirate rom-com and
I'm very, very sad about this.
you have your
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, whatever, Shark Tale, blah, Meet the Fockers, blah. So you get a lot of, again, it makes sense that this is almost basically the middle, and it makes sense because it seems like, this seems like it's kind of in the middle. Sure, you have stuff that's pretty damn bad and stuff that's pretty damn good, and in the middle are movies that are in the middle. So, sure. Speaking of middle, okay, now we get to the actual middle. Number 13, 1999.
Oh, I was wondering when the other 99 movies, like the 1999 movies, were going to come.
Yeah, so we before we have we got rid of 94, 96, 97, and 98 way at the beginning of the list, but now we're getting to 99. And 99, I remember, was the year where we were like, oh, things can be good again.
Yeah. There's hope.
Yeah, there's a lot of like legitimately good stuff here with Toy Story 2 and Tarzan, Sixth Sense, The Matrix.
And then Stuart Little's just kind of odd.
Yeah, and like Three Kings is okay. And then you have stuff like The Phantom Menace, which
Oh boy.
Baby Anakin.
we know what everyone thinks about that. Yeah, and then we just get a lot of stuff that's like not good. It's not like bad, but it's just like, or like, no, it is, some of it's pretty bad, but it's not horrible, right? Like Payback and She's All That and Entrapment are just kind of whatever, who cares, right?
Yeah.
We do have Runaway Bride, which was like actually terrible, but like, yeah, overall it makes sense that this is like it makes sense this is one of the better 90s years. Because it does, again, it has like 4 movies that I think we'd all say are like legitimately pretty dang good. So, yep. Well, now we're on to the upper half with year number 12, which is 1995.
Oh, there's 1995.
Yep, so here's our best 90s year, and it's like in the middle. But
Both of them are in the middle.
yeah. Again, like, it's kind of similar to 99 in the sense where we have a handful of legitimately really good movies with Apollo 13 and Die Hard, and then we like Babe and Toy Story. We also get a handful of movies that are like mixed with like Higher Learning and, While You Were Sleeping and Get Shorty, which was a thing. Okay.
The title really does not like give any indication of what the movie is.
No, honestly, I feel like I need to watch it again because I'm like, what even happened? What happened to that movie? I like totally forgot it, like completely. But yeah.
I just really only remember the end scene.
Yeah, but whatever. I don't know. But, and then again, as with the other stuff, there are also a handful of movies that are not good. So, yeah, Waterworld, Outbreak, Brady Bunch movie, and Jumanji we'd all say are not good. So again, it makes sense that if we look at this kind of now from our viewpoint of we have finished this, it does make sense. This is kind of a middle of the road year.
Yeah.
But I do remember at the time when we were going through the 90s, we were like, wow, 95 was so good. So yeah, and again now it's like, okay, it wasn't like great, but it's the best of the 90s, so which again is pretty sad. That's how that was, but whatever. Okay, year number 11, 2001.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh.
I remember 2001 we thought was pretty good at the time. And we have first Harry Potter movie, first Lord of the Rings movie, both of those really solid. Rush Hour 2 pretty good, Shrek pretty good. Save the Last Dance at least better than we thought it would be, so that's something.
Much better than we thought it would
Yeah.
be.
And then we have, again, like, Don't Say a Word. I don't really remember that movie either. I remember it being, like, fine, but yeah. And then we get stuff like the Tomb Raider movie, which was ridiculous.
Oh god.
Jurassic Park 3, which is basically just woman screams for an hour and a half. Spy Kids with traumatic thumb people.
Oh my
Oh,
god, I cannot. I couldn't believe how disappointed I was to rewatch and be like, this is not as good as I thought it was.
No.
I remember you were like, no wonder my mom was like...
She was out cold. She was asleep.
Yep, and then we get to like Bridget Jones's Diary, which
I'm kind of surprised that that's the lowest here.
Really?
So I guess like, yeah. I mean, I guess like the thing is that everything else, while not awful in some cases, they were still pretty bad. But this is like bad, but in kind of a mediocre, boring way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember for Bridget Jones's Diary, it's only like a 90-minute movie, but I'm like, this feels double. I'm so bored. Ugh. So yeah, but again, overall, especially for the time, it was a really solid year. Now it just kind of seems again pretty average.
Yeah.
So okay. All right. Now we're in our top 10 years.
Ooh.
So, year number 10 is 2010. That's very fitting. Yeah, I remember liking this year a decent amount. Again, it has like a fair amount of like pretty solid movies, with again Inception being really good. Like Toy Story 3, Deathly Hallows Part 1, Shrek Forever After were like, pretty good. Shutter Island was kind of mixed because again, like we had this discussion about the plot being like had some issues.
Yeah.
But overall was like a positive movie. I think we all agreed. Book of Eli was also kind of weird. I know I liked it more than you guys did, but even I don't even think it's like great. But we had Iron Man 2, which was okay. Again, it's very messy, but it wasn't like bad, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Social Network is a huge split between us. And, I think you know why based on our discussion from it.
Yeah.
But then you have stuff that's just kind of dumb.
Clash of the Single Titan.
Yeah, Clash against a Titan.
For like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then, the Expendables thing, just whatever, who cares? And then you have Two Things, which just suck. With
like
Alice
in Wonderland.
And then the
Useless scrub movie.
the useless scrub retelling of the Bible or something. So they were both these kind of like fantasy like books that were like well regarded, but just made into movies that just did not work.
No.
So yeah, those are bad. But again, overall, like a lot of the stuff at the beginning of the year, again, I'd say only Inception was like the really good movie, but the other stuff is like definitely still pretty solid. So, and I'd say it's average, but slightly more positive maybe because again of like the average movies are like slightly more positive than true neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Okay. Well, now to number 9, we have 2014. This one, if I remember, was also kind of more split. Yeah, like, well, it's kind of similar to some of the previous stuff, where we have like a chunk of good movies, a chunk of okay movies, and a chunk of bad movies.
Yeah.
So
And you can see the division lines with it too.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
clearly.
pretty well.
So we have like Lego Movie and Winter Soldier. We really like. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes are really good. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy. I think we're like a little bit more split, but still we overall like it. And Maze Runner, we also was better than we thought would be. And like Maleficent was mixed bag. Gone Girl also kind of similar in that sense. Then you get
The messy Hobbit.
the
movie.
third Hobbit movie, which and also Mockingjay Part 1 for Hunger Games, which just did. And
Oh god.
okay, anyway.
Moving on.
And then we just get 3 movies that just aren't good.
Why did we watch a movie about Noah's Ark?
How is the Noah's Ark movie the one that was like really like bitter and mean and like just super unlikable? Like,
What is Hermione Granger doing?
I forgot she was in that movie. Oh my god, I forgot.
I also
am
thought
Shazam.
Jesus Christ.
You know what's also kind of like low-key, like not exactly funny, but maybe just like weird for me? Gerard Butler was also in like the really bad Phantom of the Opera movie.
Oh yeah.
He's just
Oh,
not
no,
very
wait.
good
Wait,
at
no, it's not Gerard Butler. It's shit. What's his name?
Russell Crowe.
That was
Sarah.
yeah.
Sorry.
no, okay, it still works though. Yeah.
I am Javert.
Yeah. So Noah was like actually like bad. And, like, okay, Age of Extinction Transformers was bad too, but like
Yeah.
other stuff again, like the third Hobbit movie is really messy, but it's not like a really bad movie. It's just a really messy and not good movie, right?
It's kind of a downer.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but it's not not on the level of Noah, right? So
Yeah.
and then the other stuff is again like Maze Runner, Guardians, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, up to that stuff is legitimately good. So I'd say it makes sense that this is not like the best year, but up there. All right, so our number 8 year was 2016. This is actually, I feel like is really similar to the last year, where there's like a good chunk of like really solid movies, but there are like a few like really bad ones that bring it down. Again, Zootopia, Rogue One, really good. Civil War, Finding Dory, Kung Fu Panda 3, like those are all pretty good. Jungle Book's okay. Deadpool's kind of mixed, but again, still like all right.
It just really depends on what your sense of humor is.
Yeah.
I think for people.
Yeah.
Fantastic Beasts, again, it kind of like with like The Hobbit, it's not like bad, it's just super messy and disappointing, right?
Yeah.
And then we get,
What the fuck even was the accountant?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was just a thing. And then we had the fucking skeleton army. Oh god.
Watch that part of the movie and that's all you
I've watched that like clip on YouTube like probably 5 times, honestly.
Oh my god!
How many views did that video have?
I don't know, actually. I should go check. But yeah, it's just fucking that movie.
Charlatans.
And then we had the greatest DC movie of all time, Suicide
This
Squad.
is Katana!
God. Like, yeah, I don't even like hate it. Like, I think it wasn't like angry while watching it, but definitely I'm just like, this is just like everything in this movie is just like made in a way that's like bad and weird.
Yeah.
It's really
So-
just how it was kept together, and I
Yeah.
think if they had a more competent director and maybe a more competent studio trying to put it together,
well,
it
from
might
what
have
I-
actually been fine.
Yeah, well, because what I gather, like, the original idea was that, it was going to be, like, again, like, with all the DC stuff, like, oh, it was going to be really, like, dark and gritty or whatever, right? But then people started to be like, this is stupid. There's, like, it's literally, the whole point is to just have edge, right? And so then because that, they were like, oh, shit, we have to, like, try to make it funny now. And then they, like, kind of redid a bunch of shit and tried to make it funny, so it just came off as, like, awkward.
Yeah.
And dumb. So,
Hopefully James Gunn can do it some justice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have fucking Toy
Let's not
Story
talk about.
ripoff.
Let's not talk about
Yeah,
that.
so again, but overall, yeah, it makes sense. This is like up there in terms of, and like I'd say at least half of the movies are like pretty good. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that points to like overall pretty decent year. All right, year number 7 is 2018. Actually, the most recent full year.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Again, I feel like this is kind of similar, where we have some like really good stuff. Again, like Infinity War was really good, and then we also like Mission Impossible: Fallout, Black Panther. We like those a lot. Like, and again, kind of a little bit more mixed. Like third Maze Runner movie, Deadpool 2. But then you have kind of like Aquaman, which was a thing. Okay, I guess. It's kind of messy. Stuff that's like another more. You have the Meg, which is just
It's really
Competent.
it's so weird that it's average. Yeah, and then like Ready Player One, which we didn't really like that much, but it's not like bad, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Bohemian Rhapsody's kind of similar, but I'd say it's like more extreme in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have fucking ridiculous Venom, which
Oh god.
I know I have it ranked higher than you both do, but to see it like at the for our overall rankings for the year, Venom is like our third worst, and I know it's like higher for me, but whatever. But then yeah, and then so like okay, overall this doesn't look so bad, but then Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom was really damn bad, so
Yeah.
that definitely brought it down somewhat. But I wouldn't say this even without that. This year is not like amazing, but it's last year honestly was still overall pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
So. Okay, up to now, number 6. Our number 6 year was 2002.
Oh.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, this is so. Going back to again,
I
pretty.
forgot Snow Dogs was the thing.
Well, yeah, Snow Dogs was the thing, but like, again, like okay, Sweet Home Alabama was bad, right?
Yeah.
That was straight up
Yeah.
bad. Snow Dogs was just like forgettable and dumb. Signs was dumb, right? Attack of the Clones was like pretty dumb.
Dumb.
But like the rest of it though was like pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So okay, like for example, we didn't like love the first Spider-Man movie, but it's not bad, right? It's like
No.
it's a
Yeah.
net
Yeah.
positive, right? And stuff like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I mean, like I didn't like it, but again, even though I didn't like it, I don't think it's like a bad movie. I just didn't connect with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, you have like Return to Neverland, which was fine. The Bourne Identity is pretty good. Men in Black, pretty good. Actually, Men in Black 2 is pretty good. And then you have like Ice Age, good movie.
Yeah.
And the Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings movies, those are also good. Minority Report was good. So yeah, this had actually a pretty decent number of good movies. Stuff like Sweet Home Alabama probably brought it down maybe a ranking or two, but yeah, overall 2002 was pretty. Oh, I remember because like we were at an upward tick kind of at that point because like 2000 was like okay, 2001
Yeah.
was like pretty good, and then 2002 we're like oh this is a good year, right? And at the time I think yeah this was the best year, right?
Oh yeah.
So then we were like
And
oh
then we
how's
get
2003 gonna be?
2003.
Yeah, jumped all the way down from our 6th favorite year to our 25th year, second worst.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was a big drop, which made us very sad. But yeah, 2002 was actually pretty dang solid. So yeah, and for the time, it was the best year. Yeah. So okay, now we're up to our top 5 years. So year number 5 is 2008.
Jumper is there.
Yeah. Jumper was a thing. But okay.
Yeah, I can see why it got brought up though.
Yeah, again, Jumper,
Yeah.
and even then, Jumper is like it's not Sweet Home Alabama, right? It's not
It's
that
really
bad. It's just
weirdly
stupid.
funny.
Yeah, it's just stupid, right? And like Eagle Eye is like forgettable and kind of dumb, and High School Musical is dumb, right? But like they're not bad, like really bad, right?
Yeah.
And like you have
Yeah.
some like again, Prince Caspian was whatever, right? The Mummy was also whatever, but they're not like flat out bad. And then you have, I know Cloverfield was very mixed, but on average, I think we have it as like kind of average.
Yeah.
Horton Hears a Who we also thought was like average. Fucking Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is a nutcase, but whatever. But then after that, though, again, we have a lot of stuff that's like legitimately really solid. Benjamin Button, really good. We all really like it.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda, we all really like it. Dark Knight, we all really like it. First Iron Man, we all like it. And then yeah, Forbidden Kingdom we all liked it. Madagascar 2, even though it's not like great, we all still overall like it. So yeah, the overall there's a lot of pretty solid movies here, and there again in terms of like averages, sure there's like 3 that are like I'd probably net negative, but they're not, and a lot of them are like not even that negative. So yeah, so this was overall. I think it makes sense. This is like in our top 5. I would feel comfortable with that. But anyway, number 4, we're up to 2012.
Oh.
We passed the year that had 2012 to get to 2010.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember 2012. I remember liking quite a lot when we got to it because it had a lot of like really good stuff. Again, first Avengers movie, Madagascar 3, Skyfall was pretty dang good. First Hobbit movie being pretty solid.
Promising.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises again. It has some problems, but overall it's pretty solid. Hotel Transylvania's all right. And again, like the stuff that's not good, like, you know, fucking Journey 2, right? Or Taken 2, right? They're not good movies, but they're not really bad, right?
Yeah.
So, again, average ranking. Because again, looking at this here, we have, like, what, 3 movies that were, like, pretty damn good, and then, like, 3 more that are still, like, pretty good. So, and then, I don't know, like, the rest are just meh to stupid as hell, but again, not like bad. So yeah, I remember 2012 was looking pretty dang solid. Here's what we got. All right, year number 3, 2017.
Oh.
And this is despite 50 Shades Darker being this year, right?
And Despicable Me 3.
Yeah, so that's how impressive this is, right? Because honestly, like, even I think I said this. At least I told you guys that when I was averaging my year list, like if I took out 50 Shades Darker, 2017 was my favorite year, like by a long shot. Like it wasn't even that close. So even the fact that, because again, we all said 50 Shades Darker was our least favorite movie, but even with that, it's still number 3. Like that's how pretty damn solid the rest of the stuff in 2017 was. I mean, okay, we got like the 3 Marvel films, which are all like really good.
Yeah.
Another Planet of the Apes movie that was good. Blade Runner and It are good. Last Jedi, at least we thought overall it was good. And then again, like the stuff that's normally not very good, like Fate of the Furious and like XXX, they were like kind of entertainingly dumb, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the only movie that I would say is like, again, Beauty and the Beast is kind of mixed in terms of that. But the fact that we get to like, you know, at least for our averages, Beauty and the Beast is our 3rd worst of the year, and it's average, right?
Yeah.
That says a lot in terms of the overall quality of the year. And then yeah, we have 2 shit movies at the end, but again, you have a lot of really good stuff. So yeah, again, pointing again to what I said about the whole thing of people complaining, like, oh, stuff isn't good like it used to, well, whatever. It's like, that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, Marvel put out 3 movies that year, but like all 3 of them were really good, so like I'm not gonna complain. So yeah. All right, number 2.
So then what's in the top 2?
Top 2, or number 2 best year.
Hasn't come up yet.
You're right. Well, number 2 is 2007.
10 years earlier.
Yeah. I remember when we went through this, we said 2007 was our best year at the time. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Again, we have the only movie that we'd say was bad was Epic Movie, right?
Yeah.
Because again, Disturbia was mixed, right? But the rest, like, I'd say every other movie was a net positive. Even, like, maybe ironically net positive, but it was net positive, right? So, yeah, that's pretty dang solid. And again, like, Ratatouille we all, like, really like. Let's see, that was Order of the Phoenix we all thought was pretty dang good. And I Am Legend is a bit of a mixed bag between some of us. But two of us...
I think it's mainly just because of the...
Yeah,
zombies.
Yeah, again, I get it. I'm not to riff on you, but it's still the fact that something like that is, you know, overall pretty dang solid between us. And again, even stuff that's like again, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, what do we have as like an average movie of this year? We have like The Bourne Ultimatum and like 300. Like, those are entertaining movies that I would be fine watching again, right? Compared to some of the later the years we talked about way before, where it's like, oh, what's an average year? Daredevil. Like, it doesn't compare at all.
Daredevil.
You know, so yeah, I think 2007, in terms of full years, was I was really happy with 2007 how it turned out, especially because again 2006 before that was like pretty uninteresting.
Yeah.
So 2007 was a pretty good highlight, and then it stayed up for a bit because 2008 we talked about not too long ago, so that was also pretty dang good. 2009 kind of fell down quite a bit, and 2010 and 2011 are a bit mixed for some parts, but overall, yeah. So, yeah, this leaves us with the fact that number one is 2019, which is
could also be because it only has 5 movies.
right. Because here, look at so the average rankings here. So again, 2007, our average ranking for 2007 was 105. Okay, our average ranking is 105, but for 2019, the average ranking is 64. So it's such a huge jump that it's like, is this like fair to even talk about it? We didn't even see half of the movies, and that it will be this for this year, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this, and I'm like, is it even fair to even put this on here? So I just like ignore it and just say we're not even gonna talk about it and just do top 25. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know, what months are the traditional months where you have the shit movies? January and February. Yeah, and maybe like August or something, right? So it's like we've already basically been through the months of the shit movies. So, you know, and look, like, okay, do we think, like, Glass is amazing? No, but for a January movie, sure, right? How many January movies are better than Glass? Not that many, right? So, you get that, and then also I was just thinking about going into the future with, like, the movies that will probably win the months for the rest of this year, right? We have, like, Toy Story 4, probably going to be pretty good. Lion King remake. Even if we don't really like it, it's probably not going to be bad, right? It's probably, if anything, it's probably going to be kind of Beauty and the Beast level, right, in terms of how we feel about it. Like, let's see. Okay, there's the Fast and Furious spinoff, which again probably won't be like good, but as long as if it's consistent with the other Fast and Furious movies, it's going to be, you know, right? Except for that first one we saw. And like the It sequel. I mean, that probably might be mixed between us, but, like, you know, I don't think we would see it as, like, a bad movie. The Joker movie, that's the one where I'm kind of unsure. Like, I could see that maybe being, like, really bad, but I don't know. So that's kind of probably the most up in the air. Either that, or Frozen 2, because, again, I'm still amazed that, like, that doesn't look horrible. So I guess they could make it really bad, but maybe not, so I don't know. And then, again, like, the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, again, that... hopefully, I guess I could see them really fucking that up, but hopefully that should be, like, pretty good as well. So there isn't really any, like, movies that I could see, like, really bringing down the average. Again, like, okay, I think the average would go down from 64. But...
overall, I could maybe safely put 2019 as an honorable mention for the first place.
I guess it feels weird to have it at first place, but at the same time, though, I'm just thinking about how the year probably will end up, and I'm like, even if maybe it drops from first place, but it's not going to drop that far. Maybe like second or third.
No, I feel like 2007 is definitely first place, like in terms of whole year standpoint.
Yeah.
But I don't think 2019 is going to like drop to like 10th place or anything like that.
Yeah, there's a very, very real possibility it would still be first even at the end of this year. And if not, again, it would probably be second or maybe third. So, yeah, it feels weird to have it at first, but then again, I don't know. And it kind of points to what I was saying about how, like, I think people are kind of taking, like, the stuff that's been going on the last couple of years, like, for granted. It's like, oh, it's not, like, amazing. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, some of it is, right? So you can't really make that argument. But besides that, again, there's so much other shit which we saw, again, in, like, 1997 or 96 or 2003, which is just, like, you know, like, I'm thinking average quality here, right? Average quality for 2003 was, again, Daredevil. Like, 1997 was, like, the full Monty or Lost World. It's just, like, you know, nothing that we've seen so far in 2019 is that bad. And Sure, maybe there could be one or two things in 2019 that kind of drop to that, but again, we're talking averages. So yeah, I think honestly, it totally makes sense that 2019, again, if we continue this to finish 2019, could be the best year. And so again, maybe you guys, like Tara was saying, I totally agree in terms of overall years and the full years. Then yeah, 2007 makes sense to be said as like the best. But yeah, I think the fact that 2019 is as high as it is, considering again we saw like the January movie and the February movie, that's pretty damn good. So yeah, 2019. Well, congratulations. But yeah, so that was our kind of overall view of the years. I'm just trying to think, like, is there any sort of overall trends that we've maybe noticed kind of as time has passed? There's
besides the like themes,
there's less romantic comedies.
Yeah, those have definitely gone down.
Yeah.
Like, also just straight comedies have gone down as well, which is a good thing, I think. But and look, okay, to be fair, yes, I think a lot of that has to do with these kind of like franchises showing up, right? But I think, again, I would also say that a lot of these franchises are overall pretty good, right? Even like there's the MCU, but even besides that, like we had, these new Star Wars movies. I know people bitch about them all the time, but they're not that bad, even the worst of them, right? And even like
it was like the Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter before.
Yeah, so that was probably maybe the first kind of series that really kind of started all this kind of franchise stuff, and then of course the MCU kind of took that and also the superhero stuff with that. But yes, there's definitely more to that. Probably more like kind of big action movies, because like a lot of the earlier stuff, like we had action movies, but it was action movies like Payback, where it's like, the scale of it's much smaller, right?
Yeah.
Payback and like Endgame are not the same scale, right? So that sort of trend of sort of like bigger movies, and like again, I could see people maybe thinking that like they're formulaic or they're not like super special in some ways, but like again, it just like it seems like there's less movies that are flat out horrible, especially really popular ones, right?
I guess the other thing too is that a trend, I guess, that I've noticed in the very beginning was that a lot of movies that people remember from even the older years actually did not like become the highest grossing of their months either.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right.
Because there are certain movies, like a lot of people like The Green Mile and like
The Shawshank Redemption?
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Shawshank Redemption Shawshank Redemption lost to Time Cop in terms of the box office, which is like it goes to show the popular stuff. Or what was another one that was like that?
Prince of Egypt we didn't watch.
Oh
either.
yeah. What I think was it?
There's another one that we didn't watch. Fight Club.
Right, I was about to say that. Yeah, Fight Club lost to Three Kings. And again, like Three Kings we didn't think was like a bad movie, but it's
probably not
I
Fight
definitely
Club.
would have preferred seeing Fight Club.
Yeah, like who talks about Three Kings? I've literally nobody, right? Who is it? So it's kind of interesting that you could think about like how maybe in like 25 years people will think about 19 or 20. I said 19, like 2019 or 2018. Like what movies will we think of for that? For example, I could think of like a movie that was recent that did not win its month, but I could see being talked about as like a classic for a long time would be like Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
But again, I would say that a lot of stuff that did win, like, will, right? Like, again, Endgame will certainly be like a giant movie that people will talk about for a long time, right? I've seen people say like Infinity War and Endgame is like, kind of this generation's equivalent of like the original Star Wars trilogy, right? And so you get stuff like that, and and so it definitely and I remember because I saw this, I remember specifically it was for May and June 2017, where you had like three kind of like big sequels kind of coming out, and it was Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Transformers 5, and the Pirates of the Caribbean 5 as well, right? And Guardians 2 was well received and had good reviews and people liked it, and it made a good amount of money. Transformers 5, Pirates of the Caribbean 5 weren't received very well and actually didn't make that much money, right? So it's kind of like where like we saw all the previous Transformers movies and all the previous Pirates movies, but it's kind of like, oh, people aren't just seeing a series just because, right? They're actually kind of seeing like, oh, is this actually good or not first? Right?
Yeah.
So that's something which I think is kind of interesting, especially like, for example, what was it? Like Batman v Superman, right? That actually made a good amount of money, but well, first of all, it came out the same month as Zootopia, which beat it. But even besides that, it made a lot of money like the first weekend. Like it had a really good opening weekend. But like it dropped so much like the next weekends because everyone was like, okay, yeah, that movie was shit. Like we're not actually gonna like see it again, or like maybe their friends like told them to not see it. You know what I mean? So you get situations like that where it's like, oh yeah, people like don't like this movie, so they're like, yeah, we're actually not going to see it. Instead of just like, oh, here's a thing that we recognize, so obviously let's go see it, right? They're actually kind of waiting, and it's like, oh, good. So again, is it flawless? No, we still got stuff like, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom making 1.3 billion and beating Incredibles 2, which make me really salty, but it's not a flawless system, but it definitely seems to be getting better in that regard.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked about this, I forgot what the review was, but we talked about how this is going to be really interesting when like the international like market really continues to open up and grow.
Yeah.
Oh,
because remember how technically, again, we saw How to Train Your Dragon for February of this year, but technically that did not win February, right?
Oh yeah, because it was a Chinese movie
Yeah.
that we, of course, couldn't see.
Right, and so it's like that's going to be interesting when like that becomes more common, right? And so seeing how that kind of feeds into things, and I don't know, I'm definitely curious to see. And again, I'd say like these last several years, because think about it, like 2016, 17, 18, and 19, those are all in our top 8. Right? And so that's pretty dang solid, and I doesn't mean 2020 is like going to be amazing or anything, but it's definitely,
it looks promising.
Yeah, it looks promising, and I'm definitely curious to see. Again, would I want to like continue this challenge? No, right? Because there are movies I definitely do not want to see. But this is definitely overall kind of made me appreciate a lot of stuff more, in a sense of like, I actually kind of want to go see certain movies in theaters that I like wouldn't have wanted to otherwise, and stuff like that. So, yeah. I don't know. Any other kind of overall summative thoughts on any of this stuff?
I actually didn't. I didn't realize that you were going to count like 2019. Actually.
Oh.
I didn't realize that either. Well, I thought you were going to put it as an honorable mention.
Oh, well. Oh, well.
It's okay.
I guess this is the risk of coming into this, showing you this list blind, which I was like, I'm going to do this just because, again, like there were some surprises and I thought like, if we knew what it was coming into this, it would be kind of more boring to talk about. I don't know. But, yeah. But
It's okay.
Support Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh,
I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Support my son.
Oh, wait, he was in a movie. What was he in? I saw a trailer where apparently he's in it.
Oh, he's apparently
Onward?
in like.
Oh yeah, the Pixar thing.
There's Onward and also Spies in Disguise.
Oh, I don't remember that. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was Onward. It was him and who was the other guy?
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, those two were in it. So it's like, oh, okay. It's the two Peters.
The cute Peter and the dude bro Peter.
But yeah, so I hope you at least didn't find this super boring. Kind of seeing an overall view. Again, if you want to see like our overall rankings of like all the movies, I also there's a link in the description to the spreadsheet that has all of our individual rankings. There's also another tab where I've like averaged our rankings together if you really want to see that. But yeah, individual rankings. And again, of course, if you have like, wait, why did you rank it this way? Well, we have all those videos up there where you can check out what we thought about each specific movie.
Or you can watch it yourself.
Yeah, come up with your own opinions, because that's the whole point of opinions. But yeah, well, we have one more video for you guys.
Yes.
And this one's going to be a bit different because we're actually
It's the grand finale.
Yeah, we're actually going to have a script Oh my god. Yeah. How fitting, actually. We had a script for the intro movie too. The intro video.
That is true.
So they have a script for the very first and the very last. But yeah, and this is the whole kind of award thingy that we're gonna do. Our kind of favorite movies for various different categories and the least favorite movies for various different categories. So hopefully you'll like that. Hopefully it will.
Dress fancy too.
Yeah, hopefully it will be uploaded tomorrow. Hopefully I can get it edited in time. As of right now, I have about 2 weeks to edit it. So,
You can do it, Valen.
yeah, hopefully I can power through that. Especially since the school year is almost over, so I'll basically have like a week straight to just do it with like nothing else. So hopefully I can get on my ass and actually finish that. But yeah, so that's gonna be a thing. And hopefully if it's not uploaded tomorrow, it should upload in the next couple days. But yeah, either way, stick around for that. And yeah, guess that's that.
Bye.
Bye. Costume change.
Woo! Bye.
Eesh.